She's from Arya Samaj.
If they keep this up for very much longer, people are gonna freak out.
What kind of parties?
Come together in their little hot boxes.
What do you think of Jen?
Everything she does and says is that she's just too smart for everyone.
How would we get done with your bullshit?
The principles are on the edges. You're either a tolerant Greek or a moralizing Jew.
I'm, he'll regret trolling me like that. This level of shitty fucking behavior.
So that's why we're all here, and that's probably why I haven't listened to the news in 2 days.
Global homo dictatorship, brother fly.
So she didn't prove reincarnation. If it's faith, that's not proof.
I need people's minds on certain problems where I might lack knowledge.
Are you gonna stop? Because as far as I'm concerned, I can skewer you right now and you have zero recourse. This is all happening on my turf, but you owe me.
You're
I'm saying that the hormones change.
No, seriously.
The exoteric dictator cannot make mistakes. Ruling people is not about being better than them. It's about service.
You don't get to tell me how to act.
There's probably a nice person who lives across the street.
You're obsessed with Jen and it's all creepy, and you have the audacity called me a weirdo.
It's all so surreal.
This is just awful.
Alright, so you aired that part out, dude.
Money.
Hey guys, we're live.
Okay. Well, ideas have a structure. You're saying like, no, you can't. You say like, well, if I threatened to kill people if they didn't believe my ideas, and then went through and actually killed them, it would prove my ideas. Like, no, I mean, you could demonstrate authority, and if you had money, you might be able to have methods to get out your ideas. But in terms of a scientific level of truth, it's about creating axioms and showing that your ideas derive from your axioms. And it has nothing to do with money, because your theory could predict that all humanity is going to die a horrible death, and it doesn't matter what we do or something like that. And if it's true, money makes no difference. And these various things, it's just like, well, what are the axioms, and does the conclusion draw logically from the axioms? And we can argue about the axioms, and we can argue about how you drew your conclusion from your axioms.
Well, that's why I had to make this, so that people would see the value. And I didn't have this tool until now, but now I got one. I think this one's going to make sense.
Well, I'm saying they don't have to. You could sell your theory like trying to sell the value that it's going to do for you. But in terms of the science of it, you don't have to sell your theory. If it's true, it's true, even if it doesn't sell. And it's saying not all science sells.
Right, but the best theory will sell too. That's the best part. So
how would you know that?
No, I'm fundamentally disagreeing. I'm saying the best theory is, saying you're going to die one day. It's like, well, what's the value? I mean, you might be able to monetize that and sell products to people, but a lot of scientific theories, it's like, I scientifically prove that coronavirus is going to kill every single one of us, God forbid, and there's nothing we could do about it, but it's conclusive, and basically all you could do now is say your prayers and prepare for death. And saying, no, I mean, that's science, and you have to follow science, whatever direction it takes you, even if science points to you that your suffering, our suffering is going to increase.
Okay, well, let me just show you what I invented with my theory, because, you can theorize about airplanes, but until you fly it, it isn't an airplane. It's just a toy. So I want to go to, how do I do this? Let me share this screen. Share. Wait, can't you share just an application, or is it the screen?
Go to the one on the right. There's two options. One is share screen and one is share application window. Select application window and only share the one that doesn't have any identifying information. This is something I have to keep coming back to, like, personal security, always worth the time investment.
How come I don't see that? She share screen and full screen. That's it. Well, anyway, why don't you go? I'd like you to actually go to the website itself. I know I want to share this, but I can't without messing up. Oops, sorry. Hold on one second
there. Thanks for joining, Duvid. I really appreciate it. It was interesting to see you on Luke's. I couldn't believe how abrupt that goodbye was, though. That hurt me a little bit. Whoa. You're muted, David.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah,
Mr. Jones.
I
Go
didn't
ahead.
even plug in my mic yet. I wasn't exactly sure how this stream is going to go. But no, I mean, Luke is running his show or in a way that is different. He goes for hours and has his news and it's fitting me in. So it's a little unclear the direction. There's semi-good conversations, but it's unclear how he's fitting it into the stream. Yeah, I mean, me and Jennifer want to advance our ideas, focus more on science. Libra has some interesting ideas. So we're trying to hear them out. But essentially for us to move forward on an idea, due to the necessities of communication and progress, you just have to be able to agree on certain common terms and axioms. And it could be that Libra has axioms that we're going to be able to work with and we could cooperate or get together. Or it could be that his system is not axiomatic in the same way, or we're going to disagree on axioms.
Well, from what I can see, one of the axioms, like there's a moral axiom and there's also a geometric argument, which has not been axiomatically formalized. So there's like a moral imperative to minimize entropy, which we went into a little deeper, but I don't exactly know how that would be phrased. And then there's just like a diagram with some colors on it. So it's like a geometric argument. That's as close as I can get to sort of zooming in on the axioms of this particular system.
Yeah, and it could just be an internal heuristic of trying to mathematically represent spiritual ideas. And God forbid it could, as in most cases, prove to be largely unscientific and not interesting to the general public, maybe to like a cult craft, that you could have your own spiritual system that works for you and a group of people and have like a cult craft around it. But in terms of a system that's useful to other people, it has to be separable from the cult craft, where you could just express it, package it in the terms of axioms and logical derivations and predictions to hand off to other people. So if you can't do that, you could still, so to say, have your little cult and have the benefits of your cult, but you can't really enter the arena of ideas to work together with ideas, because you said, like, unfortunately, we don't really know what you're talking about. And even though you spent hours and hours talking about it, you haven't expressed it in a concrete way that we could really say, maybe you're just going to change your mind tomorrow and say, this is what it's all about, and have your own kind of like circular system, because you're not prepared in a way to present it in an axiomatic, logical way where you could just hand it off and then we could tinker with your theory because you've handed it off in terms of axioms and science. And it's like, oh, we have to trust you, we have to ask you, and then maybe you're going to say your theory works like this one day, and maybe you're going to say your theory works the other a different way. And really what the person is doing is they're trying to map their own consciousness into a scientific theory, and in all likelihood the person's internal consciousness is not consistent. So if they're trying to say, oh, my internal consciousness, how things work in my own head, if I could just express that to everybody else, they say, well, unfortunately, people don't work in a logical, consistent manner. So what works in your own head is in fact largely useless to other people.
Once you see the demonstration, you'll understand. I think this will show it in your head. So this way, the axioms are what you see in front of the screen. So let me do this, Jennifer. Let me take a little YouTube break myself talking to you. But let me just film this as a YouTube, and then you can watch it, because I'm trying to. Well, I want you to see it, but I don't know how to share this without sharing everything.
Just in the options, it says share screen, click on that, and then it says your entire screen, and it also says application window. So you click on application window and you pick the application window that's the one you want to share.
Yeah, and so me and Jennifer, I guess, kind of friendly, will help you out with that. But like, from obviously, from the time is money, and you got to have this stuff ready.
Right. So
and from the professional academic, like at some point, you get in front of the academy, you get in front of the investors, and you have 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and we could help you stream and get it ready. But eventually, you're going to be in front of a bigger audience or investors or a critical board of peer review, and you're going to have to be able to reduce your presentation to an extremely small amount of time.
Yeah, it's kind of one picture. One picture. So let me.
So I'll take a medicine break, and I'll let Jennifer help you out with your technology.
I sent that link over, Jennifer. Did you get that?
Yeah, it's loaded. It's right on the screen there if you want to take it away.
Okay, so let me put this one right here. So you're looking at the Q vote. So the way it works, this is how you vote. Does the law affect any daily direct sensory input in your life? If yes, drag the square to the bottom, fully in the black. Okay. You following along? So in your little
law, what law are we talking about here?
Any law, whatever they're proposing, any law. So someone exercises power over you. Does it affect your daily?
A law existing and someone exercising power aren't the same thing, though.
Yeah, no. Well, that's it, though. Does the law, you know, if you break the law, that's something else. I mean, if they say, well, just follow along at the bottom. So does it affect, is it daily sensory input on your life? If yes, drag the square to the bottom. So your square goes in the black zone. If no, it's in the white zone. So put the square on one on the white and the square on the other in the black. So you have two side by side. And then, so if yes, in the black, if no, in the white. Then you drag your circle to how you feel about it. Okay, so pick a vote. Let's vote on, okay, we're going to put up
Someone's complaining about audio problems. I do hear a bit of a high-pitched sound. I think it might be Duvet, actually.
I got my mic in. It shouldn't be me.
Okay, I think it's gonna. Maybe it's you, actually, Dr. Dan.
Might be. I got the same setup though.
Hey, Aaron, nice to see you. Hey, Nicholas, Petrus, Mr. Jones, and Bart Verstige. It's great to have everyone tuned in. So I've got your thing displayed already. I'm totally like creeped out by the wording of this.
Okay, well that's yeah. It goes
very creeped out. I can't exactly express why I'm so creeped out by this, but it's like, what's the argument here? If the law doesn't manifest in your life daily, then it's okay. Is that
no? Just put it on the chart. If it does, that means one thing. If it doesn't,
the context of the question makes no sense. Like, I don't even feel like I can answer this question.
Right. Well, you need an object. So what is the object? You need a law. So, for example, Jennifer,
an object and a law. Is a law really an object, or is it a compelled set of conduct?
They're going to put up a bunch of speed bumps down your road. Does that affect you daily? Yes. Okay, then you put it in the black. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, they're putting speed bumps up in your neighborhood. Put it in the black. Okay, how do you feel about that? Do you think it's safe for everybody? Does that help? Is that something you really like? You're happy for the speed bumps? Do you think that's good for everyone? If yes, put it up by the icons of 3 people. That means it's good for everybody. Right?
Is there more to this page that I'm supposed to be seeing, or just
do you have the color boxes?
All I see is at the end, like, I would be physically affected negatively if red, and then I can't see anything under that, just a Q vote.
Oh, that's where I was going to type stuff and then take a snapshot.
I mean, me and Jennifer have more mathematical background, and if
that's the whole thing, I'm screen grabbing the whole thing, like, oh, and it does scroll, so I can scroll down if you want.
So a 5-year-old can vote, and you know how to weight votes. We're using a voting system that was invented how many thousands of years ago? It doesn't matter anymore. Not when you can have live feedback from your population. Why would you take a piece of paper and every 4 years ask them what they think? You know, that's ridiculous in the day and age we are in. You know, and it'll be a while before they do anything different, but here's an intermediary right here. If it physically affects you, put it in the black. If it doesn't physically affect you, put it in the white. That's it. Then how do you feel about it? Put the circle where you feel about it. If you think it's good for everybody, put it up there with the 3 people. If you think it's bad for everybody, put it in the red. If you think it's bad for you personally, put it dark right over your little icon.
Well, it's subjective. I'm saying, like, I mean, from a scientific perspective, you're saying there's a numerical value.
Okay, now
and a person could just put it somewhere, but that's representative of some sort of numerical value. And if you just want to say 0 or 1, if it's affected 0, if 1 or some value between 0 and 1, and you're trying by where the person places it to estimate its value.
Right. Yes. So you have a color involved. That's the layer of quality. What quality is it? Well, is it a red quality or is it a bluer quality? If they like it, it's bluer or purple. If they don't, it's red. So you have mental and physical pleasure and pain. You get it mapped out right here. So your square is the physical effect, and then the circle is the mental effect. Is it good or bad? Does it affect you every day? Well, your vote is different from the guy that doesn't vote. Doesn't that just make sense? It's just silly to have it any other way. So you got all these gerrymandering arguments going on now. Every solution is just take people's opinion and change the laws accordingly. Here's a good example. I got a wind farm up. A wind farm. I like tech. I like stuff like that. But my electricity bill didn't go down. So somebody's making millions of dollars putting up wind farms, but I got to look at them, and my electricity bill didn't change. So what's a wind farm? A wind farm to me is, I had green mountains. Now all of a sudden I'm looking at these windmills. They were cool at first, but you know what? Right now, I wish they weren't there, and my electricity bill didn't change. Now, if my electricity bill had gone down $50 a month, maybe, you know, they're kind of cool. I wouldn't mind it. If my bill went down $50 a month, good deal. I'll take the windmills. So then you can find that out. Take a vote. If we gave you $50, would you be okay with those windmills? Then you see how far people's circles went. Which color shift did they go? They're physically affected on a daily basis. How much? Do they like it or not? Some people love the windmills. Okay. Are you physically affected?
You're going to have to be getting punched in the face by a windmill before it was physically affecting you. Like, does looking at something and thinking it's hideous count as physical effects? Like,
of course it does. Coming in your eyeballs, right? What if you don't like those windmills?
Well, then you're just going to go on a list for being a complainer, right? Like, the whole thing just lends itself to perversion so easily. I don't even know why you would want to pursue this.
Well, you're still not giving an overview of the big picture of your theory. You're just jumping into like examples. So I'm trying to help you and say, okay, like what you're trying to do is mathematicize karma or public opinion or groupthink or the current state of karma, and like that's a relatively simple concept that people could understand. Like, yeah, there's such a thing as karma, there's such a thing as collective conscious, and SupraLibrix, it has a theory that is an attempt to mathematicize this, or you're saying no, that's not actually what you're trying to do. But I can't, like, me and Jennifer focus on the meta analysis. So if you're not familiar with that, just saying like what just this general overview, is that what your theory is trying to do or not? Are you trying to give a mathematical representation of karma and collective conscious, or are you trying to do something else?
Well, let me put it this way. Whose vote should count more? The guy who's affected every
I don't care about voting. I want the overview.
Nobody should vote. It should be a debate. Every time it should be a fucking debate.
No, I want the meta-analysis. I don't want an example. I want you to explain your theory without resorting to an example, because that's the mathematician of your theory, that you don't get an example. So to say, I want a formula, I want a meta view of what you're trying to do. I don't want an example.
Well, that's my question, though. You have in front of you one square in the black who's affected daily and he hates it. Then you have one square in the white who never sees anything, has no visual input, no sensory input at all from what's being passed, and he's happy about it. Whose vote should be weighted more? The same?
Nobody should vote.
Okay.
Well, no, because you're reducing it to an example, and mathematically it doesn't matter. You could have a system. If you're mathematizing karma, there could be different explanations. I'm saying there's the conflict theory of karma, that it makes sense that one nation rises up to kill another nation, one man rises up to kill another man, and people have different effects. That's an understanding of karma, that there's going to be a conflict. Some people like it this way and some people like it that way, and eventually it's going to result in conflict. And I'm saying there's different models of karma. And so like you're still the example where you're just giving examples, but like we want like the meta analysis of what are you trying to do? I mean, are you trying to give some sort of mathematical representation of karma or not?
No, I'm trying to change the way people vote, because the way they vote, they aren't happy. You get riots in the street. Somebody's not voting.
Okay, I mean, but there's so many axioms that have to. Okay, you're not. You're trying to affect something. You're not trying to do science. You're trying to affect some sort of change in the material realm, so that you already have an axiom that's possible. You know, there's like free will. So you're saying, okay, so from me and Jennifer's meta-analysis, because you're not, maybe, I mean, we didn't even discuss your academic background, but if you're not trained in science and logic to naturally know how to come up with axioms and the various questions that you have to, so to say, provide an opinion like free will. So if there is no free will, your theory is a waste, because there's nothing you're going to be able to do to change this anyways.
What if everyone knew that the voting system was fair? They don't right now, right?
That's
we're
an
trying to get to the
thing.
meta-analysis, because you're saying, are you assuming that there's free will? Because if there is no free will, if a person holds that there is no free will, is there no value to your theory?
Yeah, well, there's no value to anything, and there's no free will, really, right?
No, that's not the case.
No, it just means that value is self-determined. Like, for example, Duvid has a theory, and I'm taking the time to give it the affection and attention that it requires. And he actually does have a point, because basically he's saying, let's look at this as primarily all axioms, all that anything you could ever think of. And I'm thinking like that actually would be not a valueless endeavor, because when you're talking about a transformation into the information domain, you need to figure out how much information there is. And the only way to get that answer is through multiple axiom systems to see how much of the correlations are cross-axiomatic.
Okay, so here's the axiom. Red is bad.
So the point is that the axiom is that red is bad. So that is not actually an axiom, because bad and good has itself tacit axioms, right? You're defining it, you're saying, well, okay, there's hierarchy, there's polarity, there's reciprocity. You haven't defined that. So again, good and bad, you can't, and then you can't just say like, oh, it's whatever you want it to be. It's like, well, that's
well, I mean, from your perspective, like me and Jennifer could help you, but like we can't argue with you. We're saying if we understand what you're trying to do and we're trying to help you make your idea more scientific, we could help you with that. But like we're not gonna we can't really debate it. So if you're saying, do you want help reducing your idea to axioms? Because that's what we're trained at doing. Or do you have a non-axiomatic system and like largely we're just talking past each other and somewhat wasting time?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a waste of time. What I want to do is just have you try out the model and then tell me what you think. You personally, forget all the axiom stuff. This is a new way to vote. If someone is affected physically and they hate it, and another guy is affected not at all and he loves it, well, whose vote should matter more? Okay, that's a silly question, right?
Well, I mean, neither me or Jennifer really believe in democracy or voting in the first place. So I mean, the question that you're asking to both me and Jennifer is basically irrelevant. She's like, pretend like you care about voting and then vote, but like according to neither me nor Jennifer are really fans of voting or think it matters what people vote or want.
Jennifer, would you prefer, which vote should be weighted more? Yours, because you get the speed bumps.
There shouldn't be a voting process, should be a debating process. So basically I'm the ultimate debate tiebreaker.
I want you to vote. If you don't vote,
there's no such thing as voting in my system. I'm sorry. There's people can say what they want, but ultimately it has to go to a hierarchical debate. That is what the vote is the debate.
So who wins the debate though?
That is
so it sounds more like you're asking us to
participate
participate in your ritual. You're not really asking us to, look at your ideas. You want us to participate in your ritual.
Well,
And then it's a question from me or Jennifer's perspective. Do we really want to participate in your ritual? What is that ritual? What are we going to get out of participating in this ritual with you?
the ritual is just that you separate the two. You separate what you feel about something as to what physically happens to you. I mean, that's the problem with money itself, is if you have enough money, you're insulated from the physical effects of any detriment you cause.
No, I mean, who is your you? I'm saying there's so many axiomatic questions like, are you your soul? What's the connection between your body and the material realm? Because if you're already making these far out supplications about things like money or voting, those are so distant from axioms that it's basically going to be impossible to have a scientific theory. So you could try to do something like, let's look at voting, or let's look at something that's unscientific and use somewhat of a scientific process for something unscientific, and we could carry that. We could do that. But
yeah. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't mean to be rude at all. It's just that I'm past that part, to the point where this is practical application of how do people vote and whose vote should be voted, whose votes should be weighted.
Yeah, but why should we care? Why should we care who votes or how votes are weighting? Because me and Jennifer both think that voting is silly.
Right. I'm sorry. Well, you're the wrong audience for this part. But I'm just saying, if you want to start making any difference at all, well, you need to change how people vote. You need to make sure people are heard, and people need to get what they want. Right now, you have
None of those things are true.
Yeah, I mean, so me and Jennifer don't agree with any of your axioms on that point. You're saying, okay, you might have a valid idea or argument, but you're saying like, no. I mean, me and Jennifer are not monolithic, but we've been streaming enough that I could know that me and Jennifer both disagree with both of the axioms you just mentioned there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but that's disagreement. That's okay. I'm talking about action. The only thing that matters is the energy part. The time part is up to you. And I say this stuff. What that's in your head. That's how you feel about things, and that's fine.
Well, so if you're saying you should agree, let's say we could come to an agreement that is worth our collective efforts to try to minimize suffering, and we have some sort of agreement on that axiom that Duvid, Jennifer, and Libra all want to minimize suffering, and then you from there within that agreement, like you're coming on to like influencing people's voting, and me and Jennifer are like, well, we agree about the decreasing suffering part, but we don't agree that any system that includes voting will have any major effect on decreasing suffering.
Right. So how would you even know? That's what that's the idea.
Because it's based more on axioms like free will, free choice, the ability of people to make positive decisions for themselves and society.
Yeah, I'm only talking about real world though. That's the difference. I'm the philosophical part is.
Let's say someone did the axiom like, okay, the only way to reduce suffering is to have people so scared of death and torture that they do everything right. And so it's okay. It's an axiomatic theory and based on human nature. And okay, like you want to reduce suffering, but unfortunately, the only way to reduce suffering is to beat people into submission. Well, I'm saying it could be based on a consistently logical theory. So you're like, no, okay, like people don't need to be beaten into submission. They could make the correct decision for themselves through some sort of voting process.
Well,
and so that debate about and saying beating people into submission isn't the only way to there could be forms of enlightenment or spiritual ways versus saying the process to reduce suffering is through some sort of voting. And so if you're in the US and we currently use a voting model, and so saying I want to work within the current system and adapt the current system to be more productive, as opposed to me and Jennifer who've already analyzed this issue and think that the solution is not perfecting the voting system but moving away from the voting system.
Well, if you're right, how come nobody's doing it, right?
People take time to change, and these things are ongoing.
People are moving towards authoritative leaders. I mean, generally, people are moving towards authoritarianism.
Absolutely, man. I mean, this is something that just can't be repressed forever because people look to this is the main motive of cognition, is wanting your self-image to be what's the opposite of dissonant? Consonant, exactly. Yeah, you want consonance of the self-image. Thanks for the music lesson there, David.
Everybody shut up and do what I say. That's like, okay, Jen, well, what I'm saying is we don't disagree on any of the axioms. So let's stop talking about axioms and let me just show you the model so you go, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. Don't think
How
it's any
could
kind
you how could you know if we disagree on axioms? I don't think you know what my axioms are.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter because what matters is the picture. And if you guys
It does matter because if axioms are cross-referenced, the whole system is not logically sound. So it has a different the mechanics of a system that allow axiomatic contradiction are completely different than mechanics. So now you're saying, oh, well, your axioms don't matter. And you're basically into like Molly Means territory where he's like, I'm going to construct an argument that is so pure and so chaste. It hath no axioms. It's like, sorry, milady, everything has axioms. And the thing is, most people have like 10 axioms at the same time. Most of the time, they're contradictory, making their entire position untenable. Your position, we haven't figured out a way to express to you why your position is untenable because you haven't been specific enough in defining what your position even is. So we're sort of keep referencing back to you trying to get us to try the example that we don't understand the core principle of it, therefore can't do. Like I asked you what the Q slope looks like for a person who is benevolent. Well, I'm just asking where benevolence fits in.
Good. All right, let's go down here.
You didn't answer me.
Well, because it's on the chart. If you put
It's not on the chart. If I don't know where it is, if I can't do it myself, it's not on the chart. I mean, just saying it's on the chart. That's like me saying, well, there's a quantum periodic table.
Well, I know.
Show me how you can turn lead into gold. It's like, well, even though there's, probably technology that could do that, but doesn't mean just because you can look at a picture of the periodic table that that's going to happen.
Right. I know, but I need you to look at that. See, my math predicts this. Is I can't get it through academia because it's outside the box of normal thought. You got to look at a picture. You have to. If you don't want to look at the picture, then I can't work with you. You see what I mean? So academia doesn't want to work with it. And I thought if I went far enough left, they would go, oh, hey, cool, hippie stuff, love it, which they did. But then I go too far left and I run into people that don't think you shouldn't vote. And, that's fine.
So we're far leftists in your eyes?
Well, far, no. Well, left on the chart, meaning upper purple. So you guys are right on the right spot.
Isn't purple on the right of the chart?
Yeah, on the from red to purple. So that's the visible spectrum. Top left would mean basically anarchy. Anarchy, but a good one where everybody's fine because that's the ideal civilization. Everybody just getting along. Nobody tells them what to do because everybody already knows what not to do. So that would be an ideal situation. You're utopian as you can get. So anyway, so that's just map that out. That's your sentiment. That's all. So depending on the scale that you're in, this is whatever environment you're in. Well, this is it. So if we're talking about voting, okay, well, how do you feel about it? And does it affect you physically? Yes or no? If it doesn't affect you physically,
voting does make me suffer a lot. I get really sad.
Okay, but it's fact life. So how do you do it? How do you do it differently? So the Q
I just told you how to do it differently is to have a system of structured authoritarian debating. And if people don't like it, take it up in a debate.
Well, how come everybody's not doing it?
Because it works. And there's vested interest in it not working. There's no interest in the economy to go towards any type of sustainable model. There's interest in making bags of cash.
Yes, that's what I'm working on here. If you would just to get past this point of arguing with me and just try out my new toys.
But you're arguing with me. You're saying, yeah, there's something that I know that you don't. And it's like, is there?
I just want you to look at the picture because I show this to a 5-year-old and it makes sense, but you guys are overthinking it. That's all.
I'm not overthinking anything. I'm thinking the correct amount. My theory is the one that makes the predictions. You got to remember that.
Yeah, but you didn't predict me. You didn't predict the singularity.
It's not. There's no such thing as singularities in my system, so there would be no possible admission of a singularity because then if I admitted a singularity, that would mean my system was wrong. That would mean causality had broken down. I just don't even think we'd be able to tell.
Well, you won't look at it though. You won't look at my picture and demonstrate and try my new toy. It makes sense to a 5-year-old, but you're overthinking it.
First of all, I don't think this makes sense to a 5-year-old. You still have to demonstrate that this makes sense, and I still am not feeling a convergent. Well,
Well, I don't know. According to the theory, the only way that I'm going to be able to get to do this is with actually making the money, because I'm going to run into these arguments. Because people have
money doesn't absolve you of a need to argue.
No.
Money doesn't really establish anything, and if money gets funny, then that's going to establish even less. And so you're saying, I don't know why you have to keep bringing it back to money. There's obviously stuff that's has value that's not money.
I can't even get you to use my model. That's what's funny. So I have to make money with it.
Well, why would I, who had an actual unified field model, give a shit about some other model? I mean, you can't even think that far ahead. It's like you have to have a little bit of empathy to be able to.
I get it, but that's why I was thinking, okay, if I have a lot.
Well, you're not conversant in my theory. If you had come to me and said, "Oh, I bothered to learn your theory. Would you mind taking a look at mine?" I might give a shit.
How many years would I have to study, right?
I don't know. It really depends on the person, but I don't get the sense that you're really listening to anything in my theory.
No, what I'd like you to do is to show you these pictures, and you go, "Oh yeah, that's all." It makes sense, because in a real sense, you can measure: did they move to black or white? Yes or no? Okay, that's one measure. Did they like it or not? Okay, that's another measure. So you have multiple dimensions of any kind of input. So you take that to a movie, you take it to voting, you take it to anything you do here. So voting, I get a bunch of windmills. Someone made $1 million. I don't want to look at them anymore. Okay, well, I vote for that. I say, I don't like it, and it affects me physically. And you got the guy that made $10 million, and all these people around him, and they voted for it, and they never see the thing. So whose vote should matter? I'm just saying, this is how you balance out any kind of democracy dispute. You include the feelings along with the physical proximity to whatever you're working on. I mean, you talk about commons.
Have you established that feelings matter and why they matter and how they should matter? When you work in science, you don't have to bring feelings into it ever. Okay.
But nobody votes if they don't feel like it. That's it. You want power.
Okay.
I'm talking about power. I'm not talking about anything more metaphysical. I'm talking about real physical power. So
but you haven't established any link between voting and power.
Well, that's because there isn't one. Well, there is, but it's tenuous at best.
Okay, so now you're saying let's do something that is tenuous at best because reasons, and I'm just like,
well, I'm telling you, the only way it gets used is if it makes money. Because why would you use anything else? Why would you even look at another theory? I mean, you're right. Your theory is spot on. Mine just does it in pictures. That's all. You just take your theory, and all of a sudden you got a video card for it.
I don't even think you know what my theory is, though. Like, how would I put my theory into this exactly?
Well, you were talking about doing 12 dimensions and stuff, and yeah.
I never said anything about 12 dimensions. I said the mind has 11 dimensions, and the universe has 14 energetic dimensions.
Okay, so here's one dimension of the mind.
This is not one dimension. This represents 1, 2.
Well, like
arguably, you could say there's maybe, no, I guess 2 levels. 2 times 2 is what you have here, because you have a light to dark on the vertical and a color transition on the horizontal.
Right.
Yeah, so you have 2 times 2.
Yeah.
That's what dimensional object it is that you're depicting here.
Yeah, well, anyway.
So you're depicting 2 4-dimensional objects. Now, that is actually a good idea in general, the idea of plotting. Yeah. Thinking about plotting higher dimensional things onto lower dimensional objects, because
now you can vote. So you have 4 dimensions to vote with instead of just yes or no. It's not binary anymore. It's 4-dimensional. So if you can catalog that with a computer, you find out what people like more. That's all. I mean, the invention's done. Now it's just a matter of implementing something like that. So now everything else looks stupid. That's the whole point of this. Doesn't matter what your theories are. If everything else looks stupid, why would you do it? You know, theoretically, a buggy whip is really good to get a horse going faster. Oh, well, I don't need one of those.
I don't know if I see a need to express my theory in this manner, because I just don't understand how it would map to this type of thing, but perhaps some individual, what do you call it?
Like I said, I have
metric.
I have to make money with it, or it
I don't
matter.
think you have to make money. You have to get a model which is predictive. That's what'll do it.
Well, let me see. What do you think would be predictive if Everybody where you were working, they were doing a good job, but everybody was mad. And you had a map of that. You saw everybody was mad about something, and then they're still working, everything good, but they're mad. What do you think it is, you know? You get Amazon. Oh, now you got people complaining they want $20 an hour. You get people going on strike. Well, strike is your feedback before. Now you get people mad. Well, before they go on strike, now you know they're in the yellow zone. Go ask them what's wrong. Oh, they want a refrigerator in the break room. Okay, cool. So for the business, that's what I'm saying. You have to make money because you're the theoretician. And you want to theorize. Well, businessmen, they just want to make money. So if you got a business and they don't want to worry about HR problems, they don't want to worry about whatever. Use this. Just poll them. Ask them how they're doing. And the people being polled will love it because, oh, hey, they're responding to my needs, as long as they are. And if they aren't, well, they leave. They get another job. So it incentivizes both ends to take care of each other in a more symbiotic relationship. Because you're checking the feelings, because you say feelings don't matter. Well, whatever. That's in your head. But if you have a business, they matter more than anything else. So if your employees are feeling bad about whatever and you don't know find out what it is, because they're not going to be your employees longer. If you don't want them, well, why are they there? But if they're a high performing individual and they feel bad about something else, it's going to affect their work. So HR problem, like I said, everything in business, just start mapping this stuff out. Oh, he's great, but whatever, his chair is uncomfortable. So his physical is bad, his output is great, but he's not happy. So anyway, you can put it at any granularity you want. So that's a voting system that with feedback, both body and physical. Body and mind. That's new. Now if your feedback for a business is your salary, how much you're paying for your salary, how much your stock prices is, well, that's your feedback. And lawsuits, watch out for those. All these things that you're worried about just gives you a heads up. You get a warning. So you see that slope of, hey, this guy was happy for 6 months. All of a sudden he's in the red zone. He's upset about something. We'll find out quick because he's a good employee. Or on the other end, someone's not very good, but you see their quality is going up, going from red to purple, greater quality. Well, watch this guy because he's really improving. Something's going on. Find out what he's doing and tell everyone else to do the same thing. Find out the reasons behind the change in quality. If you can't measure quality, then and all these systems exist already. But here's a way to check the mental quality of your employees. For example, that's just one application. So you go up to any level with that, and you go to voting. You go to negotiations between countries. It's all the same thing. It's just cause and effect. You've got influence. Your IX. Pick an IX.
You don't realize that this is going to incentivize people to complain, and like a squeaky wheel gets the grease type of thing.
Yeah, but if they're squeaky too much, well, what are you complaining about? And if everyone else says it's great and you're the only one, is it a joke? Well, if you're joking around, hey, don't count your vote next time.
Well, I've been the only person speaking against a trend and been right before. So how do you correct for those random occurrences? You're talking about the same set of data with completely different underlying truths.
You can't account for anything, right? Quantum, go down to the quantum level is nothing. There's nothing.
No, there's actually tons of stuff in the quantum level, and that's kind of the point I'm making, is that people have to take a quantum approach. Otherwise, it's going to be a disaster. You're not going to be able to navigate the axioms the way David is alluding to with his.
Well, we've already got a disaster. The country, the world as it is. It's the most peaceful time in history. But
what I want is like a system that rewards people who are contributing to improving the commons. That's
beautiful. Well, that's that top right hand corner. So that should be the answer.
But it's a very difficult. Like, you're trying to answer a question that mankind's been trying to answer, and basically failing the whole time for its entire existence. It's like, what makes you different?
Well, no. Well, you only ask the people two questions. Do you want to be happy? And do you want everyone to be happy? Yes or no?
You do understand that equilibria depend on scarcity, and scarcity could change with regards to how many quantum states are occupied, right? Like, if everybody does something versus if a couple of people do it, changes the dynamic, sort of.
Yeah. Well, this is how you measure that. I mean, you're saying all this stuff. Well, this is how you measure it. You ask them. That's all.
Well, I mean, Libra. I mean, at least for the purpose of what me and Jennifer are trying to do, or at least what I'm trying to do, is you need to create. I mean, I'm not telling you what you don't need to do anything, but I mean, if you clarify, these are your ideas, and you might have a whole set of things that you desire to do with your ideas. You may be opening up a cult and have a following of people that are living a lifestyle that is directly in accordance with these ways. You might be a teacher of useful things that could benefit anybody. Like that improve their mental activity or consciousness or health. Like breathing techniques, or you're saying like this is just a useful.
It's just a way to fix everything. It's only a fix tool. If you don't know how, you ask someone who does.
Well, I'm saying versus saying that you're proposing your ideas to advance forward, that it's actually a universal representation of truth that could be put in a science, and not just something that like your heuristic that you and your group use that works relatively enough for your success, and that you could sell and advertise to other people to help improve their life, like self-improvement.
You go to a business and you say, look, if I can solve all your HR problems 6 months in advance, how much is that worth to you? You're talking theoretically, and I sold you.
Is it realistic for someone to find all the answers, their existential problems that would quench their suffering at work, though? I mean, that's insane.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. It makes their life a little bit better. If it doesn't,
to be able to have access to enlightenment at work. I mean, other than the people I used to work with, who the hell would even satisfy that requirement?
No, because me and Jennifer are Hindu, and I mean, we didn't even get a chance to interview you. And I mean, so if you're just in essence giving a variation of like aham brahmsi, and saying like I know because aham brahmsi.
No, I'm asking you. I'm just asking you.
If that's what you're saying, and we didn't even get a chance to interview you to like get a view, like I mean, I didn't like like who the hell is this guy? Where does he come from? What's the history of his thought? What's his worldview? And so I could just kind of take like you're trying to give over your idea separate from like who you are or that information, but like obviously me and Jennifer trying to understand your ideas could process it at different levels, like and so if you're coming forward like I am Brahmin and therefore I know, and somehow like the truth is just speaking through your mouth, or if you have some systematic like bio where you say like as a kid you wondered about these ideas and then you went to school and studied these subjects and read these books and under these people in a progression to your idea today.
Yeah, no, it's just I'm past the theory stage. I'm past all that. Now I'm to okay, what do I do with it? Okay, this is what I do. I make a new way to vote so that you can measure both physical and mental stress on someone. And why someone who, if they're very stressed, their vote, if they're stressed physically by the results of any kind of action of others, well, their vote weighs more than the person who is 1,000 miles away and made money. That's all. So here's a way to do that. So I don't really want to argue about other things.
Here's a way to do that. I'm saying like, well, I mean, to accurately do that, you're going to need a lot more than what you're offering. I'm saying you're offering, here's a way to somewhat represent that in a way that might be useful. Right. Are you actually solving the problems and say like, no, I mean, your system's nowhere close to a scientific level, like actually answering these questions. And so you just have a heuristic that might
better. That's all. If they can't come up with one better, well, this is it then. I mean, show me another way to take care of this.
I can come up with something better, and I have, and my theory makes the predictions, and it's awesome. So there you go.
So, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. What's the practical use? Because that's why
it depends. It depends what you want out of it, right? Like if you want something, it'll be a different approach than if you want something different. But first, I have to zero in on what somebody wants exactly.
Yeah, no. Well, what I want is for this to be recognized as a novel way to record quality that has never been done in the history of mankind. So once you can do that with a computer, you can predict future slopes. You get a set number of Q slopes, just like you can with your theory. Same thing. It's just that this one is mapped out into a color. That allows for quality on a personal level. That's the difference. It's everything you say. That's why I said I don't disagree with anything you say. Here it is. Here's some 3D objects you can make out of it so that people can use them and actually make the world better instead of saying you don't need to vote. You're right. You don't need to vote.
So it's kind of like a civilizational thermometer type deal.
Oh, beautiful. Perfect way to put it. Yes. Yes. So
Well,
how,
I mean, you gotta like tell us that like did all you do was create like some dashboard app that anybody could use for their own benefit and
that's what it looks like.
is great.
It took me to work out the math, but I don't want to argue about the math anymore. Here's what I can make with the math. You know, once you learn how to do physics, well, you know how to make a slope, you know how to make all these different things. Okay, so I have a new toolkit, and here's what you can do with it. With just these two things.
You just have an idea. Like you don't have an app that I could download to my phone and do this. Like,
no,
you're telling me some idea. Like you're not anywhere near like like having some like app or dashboard that I could download.
Yeah, it's on the web page.
Oh, so you're saying you do have an app I could download.
Yeah. I sent the link there. So yeah, I thought you were on that. So that's why you weren't looking at it. I'm sorry. That was if you go to that page, yeah, because you're hearing all the abstractness, and I'm showing you the real thing here. If you go to the web page,
you have to learn the wisdom of streaming. You know, so you're going to be able to use the technology to express your ideas to as many people as possible. And if you believe in your ideas, I mean, you have to learn the art of streaming to be able to get your ideas out there.
Yeah. Well, I don't. The idea is I don't have to stream anything if they see the idea, because I'm trying to avoid. I'm the shy type, not really, but.
Well, here's a good idea. If your idea
karma, you're saying so like streaming will only be as difficult to you as it mirrors the bad karma that comes out as you put yourself out there more.
Do you know what Myers-Briggs is?
Yeah, that's I dispatched with that months ago.
So you got Myers-Briggs. That's a good standard. As if your theory is not as predictive as that, it has basically no chance.
Yeah, no.
Because Myers-Briggs is like, I'd say it's verging on predictive, but it's more just like insightful. I wouldn't say it's at the point like where you can say like that's your typology Myers-Briggs, and then you'll just know how that person's gonna act in a particular situation. Like I don't think it's a level of precision, but it does have mainstream acceptance. So you go like, well, people love voodoo astrology type superstitious shit. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, you are new here because Myers-Briggs, that was months ago.
What do you mean months ago? I'm just saying that that's a good standard. You should weigh weighing one's theory against Myers-Briggs is a good way, because Myers-Briggs is right on the verge of what you could argue is scientific, but it's really, I would say, not quite.
I made it better. I made a post about that. Myers-Briggs, get rid of your old rickety pickup truck. Because mine is better.
You have to show them how.
Yeah, but that's what I got in here. Maybe I should tag it in here later, but. Anyway, no, that's all that stuff that's gone. You're still not accepting what's going on here. So that's why I have to make money, because it doesn't matter how long I talk.
Well, I think technically from a computer programming level, what's the difference between your color scheme and if it was just like an X and Y axis? And
that's what it could be too. I mean, either way, it doesn't matter.
From a mathematical perspective, like
me
and Jennifer naturally want to see, let's say an X and Y.
Well, you want to report the color itself because that's important. The color is the quality. Is it red? Is it, you have data? Is it red data or is it purple data? People hate that data.
We have not yet established that people feel colors the same. First, I suggest establishing that.
You can't do that. So you put on a picture and you pick. I don't care what you feel when you're red. If you're mad, put red because that's what we're going to use. If you're happy, put purple because that's what we're going to use. If it doesn't bother you, put green because that's what we're going to use. It's intuitive for most. Some people think it's weird, whatever. This is how
it's weird. It's I just don't intuit color or don't feel color, so I wouldn't have an opinion.
No, you don't need to intuit. You just have to follow directions. Red is bad and purple is good. And green, if you don't care. Green means it doesn't bother you at all, one way or the other. Does that affect you personally? Yes, it does. Does it bother you? No. Okay, so you put your square in the black. Yes, it affects me. Put your circle in the green. Doesn't bother me.
But for the sake of what you're doing, if like me and Jennifer wanted to use numbers instead of colors, that would be fine, or that would change what you're trying to do.
As long as those numbers translate into red, the spectrum, the same frequency.
Red is -10 and purple is +10, and that could work just as fine.
As long as you store it and then it can retrieve it and it comes back the same color. That's all.
Yeah, I'm saying if someone, I mean, do you actually have a computer program behind this? I mean, if you were hiring a coder who was going to code your page and that was going to, punch out data and predictions, that would be how that they would code it. That they would assign values, and where the person put it, it would have a simple XY value, and then that data could be analyzed to make predictions.
Well, however they encode a pixel to be the right color, that's how they're going to do it. I mean, whatever they do there.
Background in computer program, or do you not?
So you get visual slopes, instead of
You're not answering his question, though.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Why does that have a background in computer programming?
I'm sorry, I still didn't hear that. One more time, please.
Do you have a background in computer programming?
Oh, just a little bit. I've done a little bit of scripting for some net admin work, but enough to understand kind of how it works, and just didn't get into it deep because I didn't need to. Didn't serve my purposes. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know how you do that, but yeah, if you can't store the color purple somehow, then
that's part of the reason why you're coming to a show like this and explaining your ideas. Like, it's hopefully like you're going to run into someone who does know how to do that. And so like me and Jennifer are hypothesizing what your theory could do, and you're saying, okay, like if someone wrote a code and they sent these out to 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people, and they answered a question, a series of questions, and then the computer program crunched the numbers, and by converting the color code into a numeric value, gave data. Like you're saying, if it was in terms of voting and preferences about how they want society is run, and this could be converted into a number. And if it was like in terms of a direct democracy, the system could say, well, based on direct democracy in a numeric calculation, this is what society wants to do.
Yep. So it's just higher granularity. I mean, we already do it. It's just a better way to do it. That's all.
Well, I mean, you could argue karmatically that that's how, so to say, God runs the world. That's how the spiritual element works, versus the current governmental legal system and the process we go through in, elected representation or ballot initiatives versus, so there's a difference if you're arguing that this is in fact some sort of spiritual law that pervades material nature, and you're making predictions, or if you're just trying to say, like, I think this would help move the direction of democratic nations into having more direct democracy, and this is an example of how direct democracy
Let me up that game, because it gets even better than that. Instead of that, if everybody had this app, you could have a map of the world, and you could start taking polls on anything. Google puts out a thing. Okay, what do you guys think about?
Yeah, I thought about this years ago. I mean, what you're telling me, I mean, so when you say, okay, you've created an app, I could say, yeah, exactly. I thought about this. Yeah, but like everybody could have on their iPhone, and anytime there's a national issue, they could just poll all of humanity, and it would be some app like yours that they use.
We got it. This is it. Okay, this is it. All you have to do is agree on the colors, and here they are. So as long as everybody agrees on the colors, start voting. I mean, what you wanted, now we can do it. If we get the right programmer, it's done. Put that in a database, start putting slopes up there. You find the countries that are happy about whatever. You see these happiness indexes at GDP.
That is itself completely ill-posed.
Well, okay.
For Shark,
if everyone had,
Jennifer, we aim for like a Shark Tank style. Like, so if it was like, yes, I mean, if you want to do
then no one's going to want to come on the show. I still want people to come on the show. It's just that, it's like
in a friendly way, and saying like
the friendly Shark Tank. Yeah, that could be at the friendly neighborhood Shark Tank.
No, I'm saying like fact, if me and you, like, not on YouTube, met in person, it would probably be like you telling me your idea, and me like determining whether like we want to go into business together, and we would put together a business plan or something like. So there is a reality to like, I mean, do you want to pay someone to program an app?
It's already programmed. It's right there in front of you.
Well, I'm saying, no, I mean, do you have like an iPhone app? Can I get on my iPhone? I mean, do you want to like be the next TikTok thing where there's 100 million people across the world that look on your app and poll them different off varying opinions, and that everyone's like, oh, what's Libra's question today? And then hundreds of millions of people across the world are logged onto your app, and you're saying like, no, you don't have it, like, or is that what you're trying to do, or like
why not? I mean, it's the best. It's a new way to vote, and it's more.
You're telling me like, David, like if I invest and do that for you, you're gonna give me 50% of your idea.
No, it's free. The idea is free. You just pay 10% for any money that you gain from it. I want that to be known right up front. It's just an idea. So if you use it, I want 10%. And that money
is there an app that people use that is similar right now on the market that like
so this is the rough draft on the web I've been trying to show you guys.
Well, I'm saying like I know a lot of app programmers, and I'm not familiar with all the apps, and it could be that there's already an app that does exactly what you're talking about, that your idea is not unique. In fact, it already has done your idea and it's out there. And, we do a little research and you say, oh, actually someone already has a model like yours and it's free and it's out there and no one needs what you're doing because it's already there.
No, and no one's done it because it isn't working.
If you've looked out there and you're researching, you're familiar with the app market, you're familiar with these ideas, to look in the places where they would be, to know that no one else has already produced your idea.
Well, because it's the best idea. That's why I'm saying I have to make money before anybody will believe me. It doesn't bother me. You don't believe me. It's just, I'd like you to enjoy
diligence. Like I'm saying, obviously, like, I could understand your fantasies, but it's saying like from the, Shark Tank perspective, okay, there's due diligence, and due diligence is just
make the money first, because this is just an idea.
If you've done the due diligence, like from a monetary perspective, like of course I'm like, if I'm considering thinking about it from a monetary perspective, I'm obligated to do the due diligence. Right. You're not obligated to do the due diligence on your own idea, but it will certainly benefit you if you do the due diligence of your own idea.
My due diligence is there a better way to capture a higher granularity of vote than this? If you can think of one, let me know, because I've never seen it, never heard of it.
Search the market or think like, is it worth me spending a week, looking in the app market to come back a week later with like a handful of apps that might do what you're doing?
You already know that
you're saying like, because you've already done that, or have you not? You're saying you've already looked and it's not there.
Because it's a new theory, the grand unified theory of humanity, and I have it, and I'm using it to make these tools.
And it's based on a false axiom, which is that democracy matters.
No, it doesn't. It's based on reality that democracy is. There's a different way to deal with democracy.
Jennifer, you understand what I'm saying? Like someone could program an app like a TikTok that like people would download, and there'd be like a daily question, and you would try to get millions, hundreds of millions of people that would use this thing and pick a color. And then at the end of the day, you would have estimate mathematical of the world pulse of the opinion on these issues, and whether you use it for democracy or not doesn't change the fact that if Libra, wanted to, he could program that, put it out there, and try to get the world to start doing it right away.
Yep. So basically, I just got to get to big tech with this thing. But with this, for example, you don't
get big tech with that. All you have to do is write an app. You don't need big tech in saying if it catches on, people will download it. If you write an app
why now that you know that it exists, and you had an ability for AI to scan YouTube videos for quality that corresponds to what you consider quality, well, there's no more pushing ads. There's no more, the news sources you get. Well, they're graded. You have red shifted or blue shifted news.
I mean, you're taking yourself now to fantasy world. You're saying practically there's no distance between you and yourself taking your idea, writing an app, and putting it out there, versus like saying, if I ran the world, if I could tell the billionaires what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's going to work, maybe it's not, but like no, even if you had very minimal resources and skills, you could program your own app, and you could get it out there and try to have people downloading it, and you could have you could have daily questions and mathematical representations of the pulse of society on issues.
Yeah, but I mean, you can make your own maps. You don't even have to take polls to express data in a different way. So, for example, if I showed you a picture of...
Does it benefit you if hundreds of millions of people submitted their data?
Does it benefit?
Well, I'd say one thing, like you don't need money to have 100 million people submit your data.
Right,
You could write an app and upload it, and if it's good, hundreds of millions of people could download it, and it doesn't need to cost anything. So if you're claiming that you need money to advance your idea, I'm saying that's factually untrue.
No, I never said that. I said I have to make money in order for anybody to believe it's true. I'm having this problem with you right now. So I'm past the point of talking about the theory. I got that all worked out.
It's all worked out, and nobody agrees.
I posted it. Well, that's what I'm saying. Nobody will agree with me because everyone has their own theories and how they believe the world works. Okay, well, here it is in pictures. Some people are right, some people are wrong. You have to be right.
Like any grade school kid could have done what you did. Like all you did was,
but they didn't. But they did.
Colors to it. Like I'm saying, like, okay, like I want to believe that you're onto something great, but like no, I mean just an XY axis with some colors. Like and
you didn't see the. I posted the whole theory in public. If you want to look through my feed, you know, I mean, at this point, everything's posted online. Just look through. I worked it all out in public. There's nothing hidden. And now this is what I came up with at the end. It took me a year before I could get it into a format that people could comprehend. So you're a year behind recognizing it for what it is. Now it's a matter of using the tools to make something useful. So something useful is, well, the most useful thing would be to change the meaning of the word money. So what you do is you create an idea that is worth money. You don't have to have money. You have to have a good idea. So what I've got is an idea that polls other people's ideas. That's all. So it's the meta idea. So once you can record ideas in a color, so it's outside the set of normal language. Normally you just talk, you know, a computer knows how to emulate speech pretty well. But then you have to, well, how does it make you feel? So how do you record feeling? Well, there's no uniform way to do that. There's poetry, there's music, there's all sorts of ways. Okay, well, let's pick a way. Well, why don't we take, if something feels bad, we'll use the lowest energy photon. If something feels really good, you feel up, happy. Okay, we'll pick the highest energy photon. You work more efficiently when you're in that state. So that's good, right? Okay, then that's not arbitrary. It's just scientific fact. You want to use higher energies to do things more efficiently. So purple is good. Red is bad because low efficiency is bad. If all you have is energy, we'll do it the most efficient way, right? Makes sense. So do it at the higher energy state, purple, whatever you're doing, and whatever the activity is, do it in the purple state. Purple becomes just a representative of high energy. If it's something good to do, well, do it a lot. Do more of it. Purple, good, do it. So purple's good, red is bad. Green is just normal. That's neither stressed nor incentivized, just normal. So, and everyone's always flipping back and forth in between all over the spectrum of as far as sensory input and how they feel. Map it out. How you feeling? Okay. Just remember, red is bad and purple's good. Okay, and it's intuitive for most people anyway. Most people naturally think that. Green is good. So the only thing you might want to learn as well, green is good, purple is best. That's all. And then you have your physical. You can rewrite psychiatry with this. I mean, just simplify it. Everybody knows everything about psychiatry, kind of. I mean, there's stuff they're working on. Well, here's a way to put it in front of a kid. So you put a kid down here and say, how does this idea make you feel? Good. Does it affect you personally? No. Okay. So you get down to the level of voting. You have, and this is where, I mean, the end game here is to change the meaning of money itself. So to do that, you have to make more, you have to be able to control money to the point where
you have to be able to control what people believe. It's not about money.
No, well, I'm telling you how it's about money.
What it is that people believe in could be displaced from money into crypto, into precious metals, into take your pick. Well, what you're after is power to form opinion.
Right. Well, money is whatever people find easiest to hold value. Okay, money is sort of it. That's one way. So people
except people care a lot about social status, like to
that's true. That's another thing. So that's it, though. It's money. You either care about money or social. Everything you do, you balance those two. What's my social status? What's my personal status? And what's my social and money are tied. If you have more money, you have social status with people who like money, and that happens to be most people. So money has its own appeal, but it's not 100%. You're right. Everything's multivariate. A lot of people don't.
There's sort of classes.
Yeah, sure. So the way I do it is you just say IX classes. How much influence do you have, and how much do you want? Well, do you want?
That's not a measurable thing.
Well, not specifically, but you can put it in a color. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about how much influence I have is a question maybe 2% of the population could even answer in the first place.
Right, well, yeah, that's probably high. But now you have a way to estimate it, and it's all relative. Anyway.
If only 2 people can understand the question, what worth is the answer? And how could my question is how do I motivate people to vote on this stuff? I think like it would see it as a I don't know, a chore.
If you don't vote, then it's just a neutral vote. It doesn't. That means they don't care enough to go vote. That's a null answer. Okay, well, nothing there. So anyway, I don't want to get into arguing about voting. I mean, we have voting. So how do you make it better? Well, this is how you make it better. You take a few more. You take a higher granularity of data when you do so. I mean, why would you do anything else? If you had the ability to do it, it'd be stupid not to at this point. It's stupid they don't use this because the way they're doing it now is so binary, and now everyone's arguing about gerrymandering because I think that's the problem. It's stupid. It's ridiculous that it's done that way, but it's just the way it's been done. It's hard to change laws sometimes because they don't want to change things too quick. So you can't just do radical turn the battleship around on a dime. But hey, that's the whole reason it has to be done through money, because money guides culture, or culture guides money. And if
no, dude, no.
Well, let's assume just go with my model here. If you control money, then you can control how culture feels about money. So if money was only spent to hurt people, well, people wouldn't want money. They'd use something else. You see what I mean? They'd use another currency. So if we
good old cousin Nathan, and saying like if you could control a country's system's money, you could control society. And saying like, yeah, I mean, saying like cousin Nathan was a great man. I mean, God bless his soul.
This isn't anything new. It's just, here it is on a map, so you can see exactly what's going on. So a lot of people don't think of it that way. They think of money as
but it's saying like, of course, if someone wants to go about learning about money, like Nelson Rothschild's a good source. Like, why would anyone in their right mind who wants to understand money, go to Libra, like when at best you could partially quote Nathan Rothschild.
Well, exactly. That's why I have to make the money, because you right now I'm telling you.
So why are you wasting your time talking to us and not just making the money?
I was trying not to waste my time. I was trying to show you the model just so you look at it. So you're right. I have no authority until I control money. That's when you become the authority. Is, well, I picked $1 billion. It better be more than that, because if it's not, then somebody's cheating, and I'll have it on paper. So you have these.
I think me and Jennifer both disagree that having money will make you an authority. I'm saying that you're saying, okay, like if you want to learn about money, you might as well learn it from people who have money.
Right,
like Duvid.
You don't want to theorize. You don't want to listen to broke people lecture you on money.
Right.
So
that's why.
Like if you have an idea,
we're in a loop. We're in a loop because it doesn't matter. I know you won't believe me. It doesn't matter. I know you won't believe me until I make money.
No, I'm saying it's not that you don't have money.
Just so
I would believe you if your idea
money,
was true.
Even if you made money, it wouldn't change a single way about how I felt. Duvid and I've like.
Right.
I mean, would you say that my ideas have influenced you at least a little bit, Duvid?
Definitely. I was saying, you're the one who turned me on to quantum consciousness in general, and Jennifer has her own models on cognitive dissonance, and so many of these things relate to the hard problem of consciousness. But it's then like, I mean, we could argue about these separate topics. I mean, one thing, I don't see any connection at all between like your theories, ideas, and money. And then if you're looking at it like, like Libra's this guy who's got these great ideas and theories, but for some reason he thinks that the way to advance his theories and ideas is to have a bunch of money. So like me and Jennifer both disagree on that. So then if your question is, whatever, we don't think that the best way to advance your ideas and theories is to make a bunch of money. So, but if you're straight up like, Doofit, I want to make a whole bunch of money, like help me make a whole bunch of money, like unconnected to your theories and ideas, like at least, okay, like do we want to cooperate to try to make a bunch of money?
Oh, no, that's a joke to me that you said that, because you don't know what's in my head, and you perceive that money is a big part. Money is the last thing, the least important thing. It needs to be that way, but you have to control it in order to change the perception of money itself.
You're
So
saying
the-
you have to control all of the world's money. That like you're
Not
saying
all,
to advance
not
your
all.
idea, you need to, or you're saying like you just need you just need $100 and you're good.
No. Just enough to show that how money is spent. So I put $1 billion as the number, but no, I don't want to argue about this. I'm just saying all I have, because I know there's no end to the arguing of it. You just have to show them why it's better, and it's better because these people are paying me money. That's why they couldn't find anything better. Why you think they're wasting their money?
Well, I'm saying if you wrote an app and you had hundreds of millions of people download your app and you expanded into some sort of IPO or something like that, like conceivably,
I just made it yesterday. Not me. I had a guy. I don't know how to say his name. I should say his name. Does anybody know how to say this? Vieco.
When I was in University of Michigan, they had a graduate course in engineering, the business and entrepreneurialism for engineers, and it was a one semester course where they give an overview of the business process and saying it's a formal, the legalities of like do 401(c) and companies and venture funding and these type things. So if you're taking like that's just the basic canonical wisdom that if you went to university, the laws, the legalities in your area of opening a company, acquiring investors.
Those are all customs that came up when people were riding around on horses. We're not in that age anymore. We have instantaneous transfer of thought. All those things are
no. I'm saying you're under a system of law and money works. So saying you can't. If you're trying to get money, I mean, you need entity for the money to go to. You're going to need to enter agreements and contracts. You're going to need a mechanism to profit from money. You could only have money enter you through a mechanism. There has to be some sort of service or transaction that people are.
You're misunderstanding, and I know
I'm not misunderstanding anything. I'm misunderstanding your intentions because you haven't said what your intentions are. So it's like no. I mean, I'm misunderstanding because like I mean, if you want me to be a mind reader and psychoanalyst, I could attempt to. So I'm just like supplicating. Maybe these are your intentions, and then they say I don't understand. Of course, I don't understand because you haven't made your intentions clear.
Right. No, because at this point, all the underlying things don't matter because there's just a chart here and a way to measure people's intent. And a way for big tech to record quality on a personal basis. Okay, nobody cares about the theory. If you get the right person that sees that, they'll go, wow, I can make $1 million with that. I'm going to do it. So that's all I need. I need someone who can comprehend that and see that. And you're on the other end of the theoretical end, but you go to a businessman and say, look, this will track your employees' satisfaction index. You keep track of them this way, and you will have all your good people will be happy, and all your bad people, you'll find them and they'll go away. How much will that save you a year? You go to the right company, you made $50 million. That's what this is for. So for the theory part, you can pick apart. You can talk for years on how you thought it came about. I mean, I've got it all on Facebook, so I just don't have time on that end to go over it because it's all right there if you want to look at it. But for the business end, well, here's a practical way to record quality, and it's new. It could have been done anytime. You're right. An 8-year-old could have come up with this. They didn't. I mean, nobody took it. And you know why? Because they had different systems that worked. So now everybody's got a system that works and makes money, and the people with money, why would they look for another system? There's no reason to. Oh, here's one. This is a new one. They just don't have it yet. So this is the kernel of an idea. There's a practical app, kind of test dummy run for the web. So from there, the right person that sees that, and I just put it together there yesterday, day before, so it's brand new in the whole wide history of the world. And it's a way to look at the world. Whatever you think, you can put it on there. And if you think more about it, well, that's fine too. But here's a practical way to use what's in your head to whatever is in the world. So it reduces whatever happens in your head into a two-dimensional thing that can be qualified instead of just quantified.
Yeah, I mean, if Twitter, bought it off you, and instead of like the Twitter voting, they used your color mapping, and then like you could be a billionaire tomorrow. You just have your company registered and convince Twitter to give you $1 billion so they could use it.
They don't have to, they just give me 10%. I just want 10%. That's all. 10% from Twitter, 10% from YouTube, just 10% because it's free. I mean, it's just colors. Someone just didn't put it all together this way, But
so this is where you get like the Shark Tank style. So if you're a businessman, like what you have to do to advance, what you have to do. So you're either going to do it or you're not.
Yeah, no, I don't have to go to Shark Tank because Shark Tank, what do you have to book that? No, I just spread it out on the internet, and they'll find the right program. I got one programmer right now.
Well, no, I mean, you're probably going to be confined to a legal structure. So wherever you're at, there's going to be laws for, incorporations, patents, and all these things. And you're probably going to have to, you might have fantasies about the system collapsing and there being a new system. But in the meantime, you're going to have to avow yourself to the current system and follow the regulation in order to, to have money be able to transfer to you.
This way, if they were a Google employee that managed to see one of this video, and he saw, oh yeah, you can record quality now. I didn't know that. Yeah, let me get on that. Do this 20% time. Bam, Google's got it in a week.
Well, they'd have to enter a contract with your entity, and you'd have to have something like. Google might say it's possible that Google, sees this right now, and they just take it, and they don't need you for anything. Oh, that was a good idea. Thanks, God, the sucker Libra was willing to share it, and we could just take it and cut them out of it.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, but that's what the whole point is. Now, no, they're supposed to give 10%. If they don't, well, that's an immoral.
Why are they supposed to give 10%? Because God forbid, from a perspective, why can't they why can't the government just take you to the home quarters, torture you, force you to keep on advancing these ideas, and then God forbid, dispose your body when they're done with you? Why do you deserve to get any benefit from it? Why can't the government or the system just say your head and your idea is ours? We're going to force you to do it for society, and no, you're not going to get any benefit. Who are you to come and demand even 10%? Well, because they no, I'm demanding from you that you do this, even though the only thing you get in return is suffering. That you are obligated to bring your idea forward, even if it caused you to be martyred for it. And here's this greedy dude that just wants 10%.
No. This is how what I'm saying is I'm one phase ahead of your thinking here, because I'm looking
you're a greedy dude. You should be preparing to be martyred for your idea, and but you want 10%.
Well, do you know what the 10%?
I mean, how many times have you been killed for your ideas, Jennifer?
Well, who's really keeping track after?
Yeah, the 10% we spent in public. That's the whole idea, is you take the 10%, spend it in public the way the billionaires don't right now, show an example, track the money with color. So you see this money was spent, the people are happy with it, and here's the proof. Look, we polled them. Hey, we put in a new septic system for the town. Oh, good. Now all these people are better off, and you track that money over time. You see, do you still have good hygiene there with water? Yes, you do. Okay, great. Keep the thing purple. Oh, no, there's a problem. Okay, we'll fix it. So you just have live tracking of whatever you do in a qualitative manner instead of just a quantitative.
Yeah, it sounds like app facilitated state worship.
Well, it's not state worship, it's people worship. The whole world can see what people are happy and what they're unhappy about, and pick a topic. You're dependent on an internet. And those countries that don't really have it, well, they have different problems. And if they aren't,
I think what me and Jennifer are claiming is something much deeper than what you're claiming. What me and Jennifer, you'll probably both believe, is that what you're describing actually happens factually in the quantum world, and that there is a factual thing called collective consciousness, and that this process, you don't need a government in a central, an app, or a vote. Right. In the quantum reality, that this is actually what happens. I mean, right, Jennifer?
It'll happen eventually anyway. Here's how you do it.
I think it may be possible if the metrics were sufficiently precise to get some type of an intuitive model that could show. Hold on a minute here.
Sorry, Jen.
It could show. I mean, I think your idea about trust, right? Whether you do what you say you're going to do, that metric is pretty self-explanatory.
Exactly. How close are they? That's it. How long is that line? Measure it over time. The longer it is, the more of a liar it is. So you'll have this coefficient of quality from a person. So if you tell the truth and you do the truth and you say what you're going to do and do what you're going to say, well,
I don't think you understood what I was saying. You're saying that, okay, I'm pretty sure I understand your model and your system, what it does. You don't have to keep on explaining it. It's saying that's fine. I wish you success in that, so I'm adding to your system to make your system at actual, like, I don't care what your system could do or not, or voting or that. I know you care, and like, fine, I'm good with that. A lot of luck with that. I hope you make your billions of dollars, but that's not really my concern with your idea. So I'm pretty sure Jennifer also, we're looking to answer much deeper, bigger questions than that. So what I'm saying is that this concept that like that there would be voting and people would put it on a spectrum of desire, pleasure, pain, or however you break down that XY spectrum, that in reality that does happen on a spiritual conscious level, that all of these opinions and desires radiate out of your consciousness, and then on some sort of quantum level there is a factual universal quantum consciousness that is created by us on that can't really be measured in a scientific way. Like, you could poll people and get their opinion and ask them, like, in an app to make a choice, but on an actual physical conscious level, that is actually somewhat of a representation of what is actually happening.
Biofeedback for the world, biofeedback for technology itself. So when the slippery slopes get too steep there, well, you start getting red pixels. So stop that slippery slope, whatever that slope is.
And let's say in possibility, even if there was no material realm and it was just a world of souls, that it still might be that would be how the realm of souls works. And besides like money or various factors in the material realm and how these factors in the material realm work, but this general concept, at least of a mathematical representation of karma, would also apply to the spiritual realms.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just a different. You just expand the box to include, well, whatever you can't perceive right now. Oh, now you can perceive spirits. Okay, well, just
expand the current state of karma at this point. This current point in space and time, in reality, there's the current state of karma, which is the sum total of all of the karma of the time leading up to the current state. And so to say that, okay, your model, what it could or whatever do in the material realm, but to say like representatively that something similar to what your model is representative is a way that we could understand what I'm calling the current state of karma. But obviously the current state of karma is basically the sum total of all a reality. It's the unification of science and spirituality.
Well, you can use that. I mean, the model works with you by yourself in a room. You could think your left brain, right brain, part of your rational, logical part thinks one thing and your empathetic side thinks the other. So it goes down to that level, to the personal level, what you think. So you can just put it in a color now. So it's just a quality added to whatever data you have. As long as you have a uniform system, you're done. If you can agree on this one, well, if everybody can agree red is bad and purple is good, and green is good and purple is best, well, then you're done. There's your system. You can find a better one. If it doesn't exist, then it is the best one because nobody's got this before, and about time.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what you don't have. I mean, you could do whatever you want, and you may have success going about it your own way, and I hope you do. But in terms of like, okay, from the scientific theory, you make a lot of statements that require proof, warrants, and the natural condition is
that's what the proof is. The proof is the money, because I'm claiming that
any logically minded person is going to have an initial skepticism to say, like, I'm not so sure what I was talking about. I'm going to tend to reject it. And then so either you have to be prepared in a step-by-step process to prove these points, or it's counterproductive for you to make them.
Well, no, because I don't care about that part of it. I've been through all the slings and arrows and gotten through that already. And so you're at the tail end of that part. So I don't mean to diminish anything. I'm just saying, well, here's the end result. Oh, okay, well, here's a model, and you can use this to represent karma physically, 2D. So however you want to take it, that's what it is. You can put any model into it because it's universal. It includes the universe. Oh, 2 universes? Well, okay, well, that's how big it is. However big you think it, however big, you just set the parameters where you want to stop. That's what it's for. It's the spectrum of thought. So you pick The best, okay, that's in the top right. The worst, well, that's in the bottom left. And where do you want to put your lines? Where do you want to stop? So you take, for example, pick a law, what time should people smoke? Okay, well, physically, a baby can smoke. You could hold a cigarette up to a baby's mouth. Okay, we don't want
Jennifer, understand.
Whoa. We do not endorse baby smoking on this channel. My gosh, disavow.
I mean, God forbid, and I think like me and Jennifer at this point understand your model.
Yeah, so where do you draw the line? So just draw the line, because that's the problem right now is you have the left and the right fighting over what lines need to be drawn. Well, here it is, put on the spectrum. If anybody wants to budget in the future, well, fine. You're always moving lines around. You didn't have to worry about speeding cars until you had cars, and all of a sudden you got laws. You got a stop sign. That wasn't a law. Before you could ride a horse around a corner. Now I get fined if I do that. What happened? Well, technology happened. So you have this slippery slope of technology. You need something that can keep up with it, because what we have is so old and antiquated, and you got people rioting in the streets. So this gives you a heads up. Oh, all these people are mad. Oh, why? Because, well, they're garbage, whatever. Okay, well, long enough and they
the factual element that suffering always increases. So it's like you don't know how suffering is going to increase, but that suffering will increase. Like from the time that you're born till you die, the factor is suffering largely increases, and whether it's going to be riots or sicknesses or these various things, you can't really, there's nothing we could do to change the fact that suffering increases in the material realm.
Sure, but now you have an indicator. Now you get a dashboard light that says, look, these people used to be green, they're going towards the red zone, find out why, or you're going to have riots. Oh, okay, we fixed that.
Are you claiming that you're going to be able to stop it? Like this is you say that you're going to.
Why wouldn't
this model is going to be able to? If you're saying if it's a fundamental law of the material realm that suffering always increases, that your system might help people indicate or measure their suffering, but you're supplicating that this system could actually, let's say, do something impossible like reduce suffering.
Well, if you had a map in front of you and all the red pixels and you had green before, well, something went wrong. Somebody better do something, or you're going to have somebody burning down.
Well, they say like, okay, like it doesn't matter. I mean, you made a nice model, but at the end of the day, people are still going to vote to kill each other.
Yeah,
so like, no matter how well you make voting, you can't change the fact that voting ultimately is going to produce the result that people desire to kill each other.
Well, sure, but before they pull out the gun, maybe they had a couple of yellow pixels. Maybe they lost their job.
Or so you're just going to represent it. So it's like this person thinks like, well, my world would be a better world if this other person wasn't in it, and that other person is logically determined that their world would be a better world if this person wasn't in it, and all you did was graphically represent that in color. So like props, good for you. Like thanks.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to make money because, it's just a bunch of colors, so anybody could have done it. I happen to do it first, so anybody that uses it pays 10%, and I'll spend that money in public.
Because you patented it, or say like you just claiming this like is like no, it's saying like you better like get a patent on that, like you just saying like nonsense on the internet isn't the same thing as like registering a patent.
You can say it too, but you don't believe in it. So now I've got a video record, and I've said this lots of times. I got it posted. This is for public.
Well, maybe you have a patent. I don't know. I mean, my father was a patent. I mean, my father's a doctor now, but my father was a patent attorney. Like I'm a Jew. Like I go to synagogue with a guy who works at the patent office. I know how to do this shit. Like I've walked guys through getting patents.
I couldn't enforce a patent if I got one. How much would it cost to get one? How much would it cost to enforce it? Infinite. So I'm not going to do that.
No, I mean, you could register a patent for a few $100s. I mean, if you need an attorney or something, it could cost a few $1,000s. But like, and saying if it's trademark, it's an idea.
But I'm just giving it away, so I don't need a patent, right? All it is.
So why are you fantasizing about making? I mean, it's because if you want to make money off of it, you go through the procedures necessary to make money off of it.
I can't. An idea like that improves the quality of data, it's impossible not to make money. Someone's going to make money. So you
don't make money if you don't have a patent. You don't make money if you don't have a business. So like you have to have a mechanism to make money. Maybe just have your idea out there and then someone else takes it. If you don't have a business, if you're not selling something, if you're not offering a service, there has to be something that necessitates a monetary transfer. So you just having an idea that's good or even benefits other people's life does not necessitate a monetary transfer that involves you making money.
No, but people will act. Because if that's the only reason they do act is because, oh, that's a better idea. All right, I'll do that. Why would you not? I mean, you can. Why would you do something that's dumber than what you're already doing?
Well, maybe you say that people naturally will act in a way to decrease their own suffering. And one, saying like if axiomatically you say like if someone's deterministic and say, unfortunately, you are just factually incorrect. Like I know it's easier for you to believe in a world where you could do something to decrease the amount of suffering. However, unfortunately, you're just factually incorrect and suffering increases.
Right.
And there's nothing that you could do. And your claim that you have a system that decreases suffering, you're by definition is counterfactual. Okay, but if you accept like, no, it is possible to decrease suffering. And maybe this guy has a mechanism that is going to allow people to decrease their suffering. And that people naturally desire to decrease their suffering. If this guy has a mechanism that is going to help them decrease their suffering, they're going to use your mechanism. And if you're a capitalist, you say, and you could profit off of it, because people, the amount of suffering, so to say, to give you a profit is less than the amount of suffering because you're decreasing the amount of suffering that they have to such an extent that they could afford to give you a profit, even though giving you a profit increases their suffering. Because factually, if your only desire was to decrease people's suffering, you would recognize that taking a profit for yourself actually increases suffering, and be willing to forego your own personal profit because you didn't want to increase suffering.
Well, it's only
so here it's saying like, no, I'm sorry, Libra might be, but from the system I'm saying is like, okay, you're definitely not a saint. You're saying like, no, I mean, you're willing to increase suffering in order to increase your own personal profit, and saying you don't have to be a saint. You're not obligated to be a saint.
Yeah, well, it's just for business. Businesses, if they're making money off it, well, just 10% for me. So there's no suffering there because they're making more money.
I mean, 10%, we say, okay, like that could be usurious. I mean, to some level, like 10% is pretty high. Like you're saying, if it's something like Facebook or like social media, I mean, you could make less. You could make far less than 1% and still be a billionaire. If it's something that everyone is going to use all the time, you don't need to make 10%. You could make like a fraction of 1% and still make your billion.
Well, no, I don't want. It's not. That's what I'm saying. I just put a billion just for a number. It's to make a pump of money that takes from the people who.
I mean, you're saying you want to be theocratic dictator. Like eventually, you want to be God of the world. You want everybody bowing to you.
No. It's just a theory.
Just 10%. Just 10% of everything. Like I just want to be in charge of 10% of all of the material realm. It's not going to be that bad, David. Like when Libra like has domination over 10% of the material realm, it's going to be better for all of you.
It's not
because you're going to be a beneficent dictator.
It's not going to be me. It's just an algorithm. So here, just pick a color. So at the end, you just argue with. There's only one way to do it most efficiently. Well, use whatever tech you have to do it the most efficient. That's your baseline. Now, if you want to do it a different way, okay, that's fine. What color can you get? Get the purplest color you can with the resources you have. That's all. So get the color, find the resources, and do it. That's what you do. So politics just interrupts that flow of information. Now that we can communicate instantaneously with quality included in that information, well, you can make decisions on quality basis instead of just on, well, who's in office and who's against him and who's voted for, what's this law? What's this patent? You don't need all that. That's all imaginary. No. Take a vote. Everybody likes it. Do it. If they're happy with it, well, good. You did a good thing, and keep polling them. Find out what color that money is spent. If that money made people happy, well, good. That's what it's for. If it didn't, well, then you spent your money wrong. Do it a different way.
Yeah, but I mean, you like the theocratic approach of me and Jennifer, I think makes more sense in saying like, okay, like a Judeo or even Hindu model, the way to profit, like we get our 10% because we run the state. And so you can make a lot of profit running the church or running the state because if the state is profitable, you could cipher some of that profit towards yourself. So if you're a beneficent king in your charge of the kingdom's economy and things are going very well and people have much more material needs than they desire, of that excess, it's very easy to take a substantial amount of the excess and give that to the elite that run the economy.
No, that's
you really have to successfully run the economy to do that. You could just be a bad leader, and even though people are suffering, still try to siphon off of that wealth to yourself. But to be a beneficent leader, it has to be a situation where there's so much bounty that the king could build and upkeep his palace purely from the excess bounty that the kingdom is providing.
Well,
And
this
are
is
you-
a singularity. I don't.
What you're saying, you're going to provide so much bounty to humanity that
I
the
don't-
10% that you get is warranted and justified. And like when you have your castle of gold to the sky, no one's going to complain because they're going to know how much you did for the world.
You didn't get the background story, but no. The idea is I don't want any money at all. Ideally, I have zero money, zero. You know, I need to be taken care of. I need my house. I need a place to live. My wife's in a wheelchair, so she has some special needs. We got to be comfortable. That's all. The rest of the money, I don't care about it. I don't want to worry about bills. I have a happy life. Live in a nice place of the country. It's green outside, blue upstairs, blue in the sky. You know, I just went water skiing this morning. It's a good life. So I don't want that to change. If I had $1 billion, that would change. I don't want that. I need to be comfortable. That's it. So that's that singularity that I'm talking about. That's how you change something. You need a singularity. And the singularity is change the flow of money and not take any heat, no heat loss. You got a perpetual motion machine. So the money will flow, and I'm not going to take any, I mean, enough to live, but that's not much. And that's it. Why would I want more money than that? As long as I'm not getting sued or my medical...
Because I have 100 answers to all these questions that you're asking. I'm saying, well, you might, because you have your own personal preference. You're saying, like, obviously there's reasons why other people have different preference than you. It's things so
yeah, well, that's it. I don't care. I mean, people...
So you don't care that other people view the world differently than you.
No,
or you're just saying, I don't care about anybody other than myself. You're saying, like, Duvid, I'm sorry, in essence, I only care about myself.
No, I mean, I don't care as in everybody should feel the same way that... Not should, I don't want to use that, but
you're not saying you only care about yourself, or you only care about your own suffering. You're not really concerned with the suffering of others. You're largely only concerned with the suffering of yourself.
And I just care about my family, take care of myself here, and try to take care of people that I care about. That's...
So you're concerned only about the suffering of you and the people you care about, and not at all about the suffering. So even if it increased the suffering of other people but decreased the suffering of you and the ones you care about, fine. Or I mean, what's your calculation level? Are you saying like 90% you care about the suffering of you and the people, and 10% you care about the rest of the suffering of humanity?
How about I put it on my scale and so you can see it?
Yeah. So maybe that's a better example than your question. Like, you know, like how much do you care about the suffering of humanity versus the suffering of your closer connections?
You're making the case for my model, because now you have an infinite scale. Well, how bad do you feel?
Where you're gonna say, like, even according to your own model, it's going to turn out you're not such a great guy. God forbid.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So it forces you to show
your own model demonstrates that you're not altruistic enough. I'm sorry.
That's right. Exactly. So nobody wants to see that. So that's
used your own model to predict and demonstrate that you should be more altruistic.
Yeah, but if I don't have any money, I can't get any more altruistic than that.
Well, you could sacrifice your life.
Well, yeah, that's true. You're right. Yeah, that's the only thing. That's the only thing left. But I do want to stay alive. So hopefully nobody kills me. But if I don't have,
it's not possible to die, much to the chagrin of the people who oppose me.
But that's off the chart anyway. You can't. So yeah, what happens after you?
Should be on the chart though. Like the fact that we can't die should matter.
Well, yeah, sure. That's where you put God. That's where you put belief in an afterlife or whatever. That's fine. But I'm talking about for right now. Well, who's voting? Well, the dead people aren't voting, and if they are, well, you get a bad system.
How do you know the dead people aren't voting? Well, they watch us the way we watch TV.
Okay. But I mean, pulling the lever in the box.
Well, yeah. Sometimes it is dead people.
People are arguing about that, right? So dead people are voting. Well, we won't want that in the system, at least. So anyway, it cleans up that model. What you're saying is exactly why you need a model like this. So you have a rheostat. You can say, well, I really feel strongly about this, and it affects me physically. Well, my vote is worth more than yours. If you're a billionaire across the country, you make $1 million off putting those in windmills. He feels great about it. Yeah, I'm saving the environment. Me, my electric bill didn't go down. I don't feel the same way about those things anymore.
Well, I mean, it just depends how you define and weight your terms. I mean, obviously, your model could put out different outcomes depending on how you define and weight your terms.
Yeah, but as long as they know that red means bad and green means okay and blue and purple means the best.
Yeah, but it's saying in reality, it's going to be a multifaceted thing where there's probably an infinite number of factors.
Yeah, sure. But you just get
going into it. So if you say, okay, at the end of the day, all men are created equal and have an equal vote, or you're saying for certain factors, different people's vote matters more. So if it's on economic things or something, the amount of money a person has, might correlate to their vote. So if it's something regarding money, if one guy has $1 billion, it counts a billion weight. If one guy has $100, but in terms of like personal safety and crime, and not being killed or robbed or mugged or basic law, then everybody has an equal weight of one. And then, other fields could be based on expertise. I mean, that's kind of the multiple truth hypothesis of the truth discovery method that computers or AI might use to weight, computer recognizing that it has to create a weighting factor in order to figure out the most efficient way to do a situation. And so saying your model could be significantly more complicated. I mean, it could be multi-dimensional. It doesn't have to just be 2 dimensions. It could be 10 dimension. It could be infinite dimensions. And you could say like, no, I mean, the solution to all of the world's problems, so to say, in terms of an equation would probably be an infinite series of differential equations, and where every single axiom or factor would play into this.
So that's your AI Skynet. You're right. Yeah, and that's what Jennifer's for. She's Woz. Ask her the hard questions. I'm just a salesman.
Well, I mean, we're not selling anything. So I was saying you could be a salesman right now, but I was saying that skill's not needed in the arena of science. That's why I think your stream the other day you're saying, okay, knowledge doesn't have diminishing returns, but the monetization of knowledge has diminishing returns. So, maybe you do have the first person to have the idea. The idea might have infinite value to humanity from here to forever, but the ability to profit from that idea has diminishing returns.
Yeah, well, not if I'm already at 0, they're not diminishing, right? I'm already at 0.
Well, you can't even profit. I'm saying like first you have to get yourself some capital. I'm saying if you're at 0, you can't profit from your idea. I mean, you need a mechanism, you need a structure, you need a system, and you need to buy into the system.
Yeah, 10%. That's all. So that the right person sees it, I get it to the right mind, and they go, "Oh, hey, yeah, this will work." So I'm working on that. I got an investor. I mean, that stuff's already going on right now. I just haven't quite got the right person yet. So
well, I mean, you need a contract and a structure. I mean, if you need if you're a company, you can make stocks. And I mean, I don't know why you're so set on this 10%. That's all 10% because that
way I don't have to do.
That's generally not how business deals are structured. Like that's not how contracts are made. So it makes me feel like, God forbid, you don't know what you're talking about. You keep on doing this 10%. Like you say, if you had a contract like ready up, an agreement drawn up, like I don't think you'd just be like 10%. That's all 10%. Like at least like no, like I have a contract. In an agreement.
Yeah, no, I get it, but like I said, it's just predicted in the man. Now, Jennifer, this is where I'm getting at. This is mine predicts money. It predicts power. So how power is used, how it flows. So yours, I wonder how it would react to this. But because it's changing the definition of money itself, that means I can do anything I want with money according to the model. If I do the math right. So all I have to do is come up with the best idea. And I don't have to know anything about how it works because there's always someone that's going to be better than you at whatever you pick, pretty much, except you, Jen, except you and your theories. So that's how I identified you instantly. It isn't random that we're talking. It's because I identified your stuff instantly. It didn't take me 10 seconds. I saw, wow, this girl's on it. And you have different ideas about pre-life, afterlife, that stuff. That's fine. That's not on the map. You can believe what you want. It allows for any kind of religion, any kind of culture. Whatever you want to do is fine, just as long as you do it in the least entropic way and everybody's happy. So it's a physics equation and a color. Every decision is a physics equation and a color. That's it. And that's real life. Everything you do physically can be described in physics, and how you feel about it, well, that's a color now. If you want to use it, if you don't want to use it, fine. But this is a way to do that. So every measure of every step of every single thing you do is on a Q slope. Whether you want it to be or not, it is, if someone wants to record it. So here's a way to do it. We'll start recording it, see what happens. You want to record, you want to see where people are going to be burning down buildings? Well, if you had a bunch of green pixels and now they're red, well, something's going to happen. Oh, wow, there's murders there. Well, how did that happen? Well, you had a Q slope that predicted it 6 months ago. Why didn't you do anything? You know, whose fault is that? I don't know. I can't be responsible for that. Well, find out, you know, and whatever Q slope you pick a Q slope. You know, education, healthcare, it doesn't matter what you pick, just put it on the slope. Are people happy about it or not? Well, if they aren't, we'll change it. It's not that you can't change it. It's that, well, you got laws, you get something, we'll change the laws. Do whatever it takes, because it's stupid to have a law that makes more people unhappy than happy. Why would you have that law? That's stupid. Okay, you got to change the law. So either that or change the people, one or the other. If the people's culture is messed up, well, fix the culture. If the law is messed up, we'll fix the law. Either one, it's the same thing. It's a physics equation or a color, one or the other. That's it. So pick a thing, put it on the map, and start polling. So I mean, that's an idea. It's the best idea.
The shape doesn't connect to any causal structure that I'm aware of.
The what doesn't?
The structure doesn't conform to any, like I can't take that and conformally map it to any of my ideas offhand. It's not sufficiently intuitive to me to just pick up and use it.
Right, I understand. But
why I'm saying a part, and maybe I'll if you don't mind, I'll give my final words, and then if you two carry on, that that's fine. But you're like, no, I see immediate use to what you've created, although it's unclear how big of a piece what you're offering, at least as of now, is instead of it's just something relatively simple that could be used, but in terms of like the soft problem of consciousness and the sum total of information that we take in from our environment and all of their from a neuronal, the soft problem of consciousness, like how do the neurons and the senses form a larger totality picture of consciousness versus the hard problem of like, who am I, what is this sensation of consciousness, but yeah, I mean, your model could be a piece of that, where you have at every single point of your discrete unit, where you're assigning some sort of value, and then as that goes up the chain of consciousness and perception, that it gets reduced to one so to say value that becomes consciousness. So I say, like, I mean, me and you are thinking about answering some of the same questions, like on some of your other points. Like I think you probably have a worldview, and at the same time you have an idea that may or may not be connected. Just like I have an idea and I call it the multiple truth hypothesis, but in reality, it's possible that there aren't multiple truths, and the model that I call the multiple truth hypothesis could predict that there's only one truth. But that's my bias, because I'm creating the model that I think that there's going to be multiple truths. I'm calling it the multiple truth hypothesis. But I mean, it's possible someone could have created the same model and just call it the singular truth hypothesis, and predicting that the equations of their model will yield one truth, when I'm predicting it's going to yield multiple truths. But whatever the point is, that you have your worldview that you're preaching at the same time, where you have a few ideas that you came up with, and then you have your own personal character. You're like, who are you? What are your desires in the material realm? What are you trying to accomplish? Maybe your desires to make money, or make some sort of cult craft in that, and you could try to combine that into one character, and that's Libra, this collective character. Or you could try to compartmentalize it, and you could say, okay, maybe Duvid and Libra disagree about every single thing except for this concept of using your model to solve the soft problem of consciousness, and me and you could cooperate in that endeavor, and maybe even produce papers and theories or something like that, even though in theory we might disagree in every single other aspect.
It's a tool. It's just a tool. So whatever you want to do with it.
Although we might agree in other things too, but I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty about what exactly, who are you, what do you stand for, what are you trying to do, where it's okay, you're like, maybe you're actually trying to push and change society in a certain direction. And maybe me and Jennifer agree, we both want to limit suffering, and we agree that your model is going to help limiting suffering, and we want to sign on and promote your system. or maybe we disagree and we say, unfortunately, even though you may claim to have the desire to limit suffering according to our understanding of karma, that in fact your model does not limit suffering, and we can't cooperate with you, and it's determined by somewhat like our determination of is what you're trying to do decreasing or increasing suffering.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Right now, you don't even know. That's your theory, but you can't measure it. Well, now you can measure it, so you can tell if your theory is right or not, right? I mean,
no, I was saying you as the person. So, okay, you have this tool, and say, okay, God forbid you could be an evil man who came up with a good tool, and say, okay, like, interesting that this evil man came up with such a good tool, and I don't even mind if this evil man gets 10% of the profit because it's such a great tool. First thing, like, who is this man? Who is this man? What's the man behind this idea? What's he really after? What are his other ideas besides?
Leave me alone. That's the whole key of it. Is I don't have. If I make any money, well, it kind of negates the whole thing. So I don't want any money at the end of it. I want to be taken care of physically, of course, naturally. I want what I want comfortably. I'm not going to get anything big.
Well, I mean, now you're repeating yourself and saying that that's fine. But it was okay. Like I got that. So it's like a question of okay, like there's an end, there's goals that you're trying to achieve, and you're reaching out to me or Jennifer, and we're going to cooperate and try to get from point X to Y, and our cooperative energies are beneficial in getting from point X to point Y, and it's it makes sense. Or it's going to be an energy inefficiency. In fact is that like the cooperation is not going to help any of us get from our point X's to our point Y's. And so that's the purpose of rhetoric and communication and getting together and saying, okay, like your idea pretty interesting, and now okay, like we have our own ideas, and what thing. So like, how do we cooperate, or is there cooperation possible?
Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, the collaboration I'm looking for is people that will. The right person, the right programmer to see it and go, oh yeah, that's it. And I've already got a couple, so it's already making the chain reaction. It's all predicted in the model. It's just
have levels of cooperation. So well, like cooperation. I just need one guy to like write me a huge check, or saying like, no, I mean, I need thousands of people to cooperate at different levels, and like if this goes through, I'm going to be cooperating with so I think you're streaming. You just started your channel and you got a few subscribers. You're saying like, no, I mean, like as your idea catches on, like you're going to be talking to thousands of people at once, and you need to be able to deliver different things to different people simultaneously.
No, that's the difference. I don't care about that, because I don't need to do that. If you
don't care about decreasing suffering for other people, you don't care about helping other people use your ideas to decrease their suffering.
No, that is the whole point. I mean, if you don't take me at my word, it doesn't matter, because you can't tell. I could be lying, so I have to show.
Or you're just saying like you're not willing to increase your own suffering. So like you want to decrease the people's suffering, but like certain things like putting yourself out there and like talking to crowds or whatever increase your own suffering. So even though objectively it might decrease other people's suffering, like you're not willing to put your own suffering at risk.
Well, no, it doesn't. I'm not suffering. I just can't tell. I'm just trying to do it the most efficient way. And the most efficient way is not to get thousands of people following me, because I don't need that. I just need to get to big tech. Once big tech uses it, it's just a new tool. Every new tool in history.
Then there's absolutely no benefit from someone being explained the idea from someone else. Like you could get to big tech, tell me your idea, and then they could give it over to the masses, and there's not going to be any benefit from the masses from hearing it from the horse's mouth.
No, not the specific part. I'm just talking about, look, just use it. Try this thing. Does it make sense? Okay, cool. Let's do it. I mean, you're talking.
You're like Hiroshima Nakamura or something like that. Like Bitcoin. You wrote the paper. It doesn't matter who he is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just a bunch of colors. An 8-year-old could have done it. It just happened to be me, and I got a workable model, and I decide what to do with it. So you can use it or not. It's just optional.
You're going to be like Nakamoto or something like that, and it's just going to be like, who is SupraLibrix? And it's just a myth or mythology. It's like, I don't know. Like Bitcoin's pretty cool. Everyone uses it now, and no one knows who Nakamoto is.
That's it. That would be preferable if I was unknown. But I know that's impossible. And it doesn't bother me either way. But if I don't have any money, nobody's going to come after me. Why? I don't have any money.
Well, and there's a lot of reasons people come after you, even if you don't have any money.
Well, okay, yeah. You take a risk walking across the street. So yeah, you're right. I get it, and I can't avoid that. But the way to do it that reduces the least amount, that reduces the event of physical harm, at least, is don't have a whole bunch of money. That's one way.
Well, no, I'm saying if your ideas are infringe on someone else's power or foothold. So, I mean, let's say just a simple matter that someone has an unjust foothold on resources, and your idea justly is going to loosen their foothold on the resources, that it would make sense for them to come after you because you're directly a threat to their control and resources.
No, to the contrary. That's where you're missing the point here.
No, I'm saying that's just karma. You're saying that if your idea negatively affects the karma of other people, it makes sense. I mean, God forbid, like, I'm not recommending it's a bad idea, like it's illegal, but I mean, karmatically, it could make sense that people would want to come after you just for your ideas.
Every company that uses this will save or make money. I just want 10%.
But I mean, will anyone be hurt from it?
No.
No one's going to be hurt from your. There's no collateral damage. There's no person that is going to lose power or lose wealth or market share from what you're doing.
No, it just levels it so that people with power.
There's no like Porter's 5 forces. You didn't do a Porter's 5 forces analysis on your idea.
You don't need that anymore. Porter's 5 forces is now IX and IP. Whatever model you had is a subset. This defines that more clearly. I mean, it might work, but this defines it more clearly. It's like saying the sky god that carries the sun across the sky every 24 hours. That model will work. If you get a schedule, yeah, that works. Or you could find out, the sun goes around this, whatever. The sun rotates. I mean, whatever.
I'm not getting any clarity. There's always these platitudes, and it's like, the clarity's not increasing with time.
No, I get it. All I'm saying is, look at the model. Now you can measure with more granularity.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, if we had just done work, at least you would have whatever your time is worth, $10, $20, $50 an hour. Instead of the platitudes, you could have just worked the hour, and you would have had $50 towards your goal.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm thinking at the top level, because you're not going to decrease anything.
Well, because time is money. Imagine that you had to pay me $100 an hour just for me to listen to you, and saying eventually, if your idea gets taken, eventually you're going to have to pay lawyers and accountants. It's imagine, at the end of the day, I'm listening to your platitudes, but you got to pay me a few $100 an hour just to listen to these platitudes.
No, we're different. It's different. It's different here because I have a model. It's functional. It's important. It can carry more data than the existing models. So why wouldn't they use that? It'd be stupid not to. So of course they're going to use it. Now
you still got to pay your accountant and your lawyer. And saying doesn't matter how good your model is, you still got to pay your accountant and lawyer.
Oh yeah. Well, whatever. You got to do that anyway. But yeah, no, everything you say is right. It's just this is a different way to do it, and you don't have to take it. You don't have to take it anywhere.
There's no other way to do it. As of what we know, eventually, if you want, if you want to profit from your idea, you're gonna have to have accountants and lawyers.
Yeah.
There's no other third way that's known of.
No, I'm sure
you could have a fantasy that some other way is gonna come about.
I'm sure you're right about all that, but that doesn't concern me. I mean, because that's normal anyway. Anytime you have a new idea that people like, well, people are willing to pay money for it. Cocaine. That's a good idea. People take it. Spend lots of money on it, right? So whatever, pick a topic. If people like,
people only pay money. People don't want to pay money for it. People prefer to get it for free. But I think there's supply and demand. And if they can't get it for free, they can only get it for paying. But no, people's preference choice is to get it for free.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everybody wants. They want what they want right now, free. Okay, so as close to that as you can get, well, you're good. And the difference is how much people will pay. So you find that line where people will pay and charge that. So
yeah, but according to me and Jennifer, that goes against their principles. So it's if you did have something to offer humanity like that, it's okay. If you're doing a service for somebody, but you shouldn't make money. It's bad karma. And it's me and Jennifer are here to warn you that however much sense it makes in your own head what you're doing is in fact bringing bad karma about yourself, because you shouldn't try to profit from your ideas.
I'm not. I'm making zero money. That's the whole point.
You shouldn't even model. Just say I don't get why you keep on bringing this up. You said clarify your idea and get it out there. Then You know, like if you're a teacher, do a little study on presentation and get your stuff together and then teach. You know, like I don't get like all your talk about money. Like, why do you keep on bringing it up then?
Well, because that's the only way to even solve anything anyway. I mean,
No, I mean we've heard you say that and saying I mean you could keep on repeating that, but I mean me and Jennifer have both already disagreed with that point. So if we're back to that where you're just like, that's what I believe, I'm sticking to it.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying though, is the only way to actually make change with money is, well, you have to make some. You have to be authoritative over it. You can't make money do what money is just a thing, like everything else. Money's a thing. It has its own.
No, I'm saying like theocratic dictators, spiritual people, largely renunciates. I mean, we still have an interview. I'm saying like, no, I'm saying like me and Jennifer have Hindu leanings.
Right.
That the highest level are usually renunciates.
Right. Well, that's why
people that have no connection to benefit from the material realm.
Well, that's why you aren't running the world. So
no, those people do in fact run
the thing
world,
is,
because
like,
the wise king, the people, the bankers, the material realm, who are controlled the money in the material realm, you have to fit into this dharmatic order, and they only do it by voluntarily accepting the advice and rulership of renunciates.
Well, this is how you beat them at their own game. And if
you can't beat them at their own game, because that's just an axiomatic understanding of the material realm works. So me and you and Jennifer have a fundamental disagreement of the nature of how the material realm works, and that's fine. We have this disagreement of the fundamental nature of how the material realm works, but it's just going to come back where you're just going to keep on repeating yourself, and me and Jennifer are just going to be like, no, that's not right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He just repeated himself again, but like, no, me and Jennifer still disagree with you, even though you just repeated yourself again.
Yeah, I understand, but that's why, and all that's predicted in the model. Is it'll break whatever model because it's outside the set of the existing models. So whatever model you have,
there's a problem with outside and inside, right? Like Duvid's model is informationally outside of my model, whereas mine is causally outside of his. So square that circle. Well, you can't, because you're talking about essentially canonical transformation, but there's like a fundamental transformation, space, time, and entropy information. I'm Jen, nitrogen. Jen and me, same person.
Okay. Well, those are the squares and circles that don't have anything to do with the model. Those are imaginary. Those are IP. So
I cannot locate your model relative. Like I can locate Duvid's model now in the abstract realm, and I can't quite follow his train of thought at all times. But the underlying structure is becoming.
Your model would be a superset of this. Everyone's model is a superset of this, but this forces you to reconcile it with reality. So this reality, as in what people will agree is true. What you can physically measure. That's all. So yeah, it doesn't matter what model you have in your head.
What you can physically measure. Okay.
Exactly. That's the only thing.
Can you measure happiness?
Yes, that's purple. So that's
happiness is purple.
Happiness is purple because it's higher energy, and higher energy is more efficient. So it's arbitrary in that way. Some people don't like purple. It doesn't make them happy. Well, if you want to vote and you want to mean happy, well, that's what you press. Okay. You don't want to press it? Fine.
I know Duvid said you wanted to hop off a while back, so I don't want to keep you. I know your time is very precious, and
$1,000 an hour, Jen. It's going up.
Okay, yeah, good luck. So
thanks
you
for
definitely
coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate your ideas. So hopefully you keep talking about it and make progress, and you'll be able to.
What I would like is I'm going to put some models. I'm going to put some examples up, the pictures, and you just tell me, oh yeah, that does carry more information than normal voting. Okay, it's a good idea. Now, just see where it goes with it. If you can make money off that, then people will, because why would you not? If you have a way to make money, people will do it, because people like money. Okay, so this is just a model. Anybody that uses it, just 10% goes to the black swans, and that money will be spent in public. That's all there is to it. And so whatever happens at the end, you can say, you can give any reason you can come up with will work if you like that reason. And I'm predicting, and I'm telling exactly what's going to happen, and we'll see whose model is more accurate, more predictive.
Okay, we'll have a lot of success with that. And I guess if your model's right, like
Yeah.
You don't need luck. I mean, if your model, so
Yeah, I don't need luck. It's just a good idea. So, and then there's no way I can control it at this point. I got a bunch of programmers that know it, and it's just an HTML page. So the idea is out there. Now it's just a ticking stopwatch to see who picks it up and decides to make money with it, because it carries more information in the smaller model. That's all. If you can carry more information in a smaller model, you'll make money with that in the digital age. That's just a fact. And every single growth in data has been because of that. Hard drives are smaller.
Making tons of peripheral noise on the microphone.
Yeah, I gotta go, but thank you very
Really
much.
distracting. Okay, cool, no problem. Well, thanks for chatting, and hope it was a good conversation for everyone. I certainly enjoyed it. Did you have any last words?
Great, thanks a lot, Jen. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I know there were some questions earlier, like metaphysical type questions that people were wondering if we would go into. It's a very it's a bit of a long process to start to figure out what the questions actually mean in the first place. Then the answers just kind of pop out of understanding questions deeply enough. But axiomatically, you have to treat reality, external causality, external subjective consciousness as existing, and your own subjective consciousness existing sort of on top of that or inside of it. It's a harmonic of the outside. So for some reason, Sean Wolf just can't get off the fact of the 10% thing. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's like a monopoly on what people think is what drives what they do, right? So money is a part of that in some sense, right? So apparently it's like too simplistic of an idea. I mean, I don't know. It's I can't get a fix on it, causally speaking, because something like good and bad is not. We're not at the point where we can just be like, say good, bad, and know and agree that what we're describing is the same object, right? So, I mean, to start to say what's good, bad, you need a moral axiom. So it's not even a good idea to have moral axioms in the first place. And as soon as you do, you're sort of like, what's the word? Like hamstrung. Yeah, it's actually not that sad that life is simple. What's sad is people who go on like trying to make it more complicated than it is out of a egotistical need to like feel complex or associated complexity with intelligence. It's like what is it? Such a system would be restricted to the Overton window type thing. Right. So it's like, yeah, people are happier within the Overton window for whatever it means. And whatever it means is set by the people who pick the coefficients. So it would just basically serve as a reminder of how little democracy affects the questions that really matter. Does the universe owe you answers? So that question sort of is ill-posed, right? Like, owing is something that implies there's a differential. Debt. The universe can't really have a debt. It's what creates debts, right? Like you could think of wells and a debt having created some type of energetic well and so forth, right? So owing is sort of implies personalism, whereas I would say the universe is impersonal. Owing is something that's subjectively relative, so it can't really apply to the universe. And yeah, life is, well, consciousness is complex. Life is complex, but probably not as complex as consciousness as a thing. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. And if you have any more questions, just try to think of them for next time, and I'll do my best to answer them. The simplistic nature of it is good, because then you could go press more information. If you just have really simple axioms, you can store, I don't even know, like 100 times more information. See you guys soon. Hopefully have another week in review. Sunday around 8 or just watch this space. I'm not exactly sure when it'll be starting. Artists, you know. Bye-bye.
Yeah, but that's just so to say, a worthless opinion of...
It's so important that she can't be told, she won't be told that it's wrong. And
bringing it back to Church of Entropy and her attack dog Gandalf the White.
Why don't you learn to shut up and fuck goddamn logic?
They control the media, and the media is capable of making the sheeple believe in anything.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, we've had these streams, and I've been doing with Church of Entropy, and she's been bringing on new people, and like we did those streams on like stream etiquette. We walked through like the technology.
I have like very strongly negative opinions of the kind of Brundle clique.
Is she trying to garner herself cult prestige by associating herself with a retard?